Okay, I'm going to restart. I just wanted to say that everyone looks amazing. But thank you for joining us today. My name is Janat Garwal, and I will be your MC for tonight. I am honored as this is a historical event, and I am proud to be your MC tonight for the Sikh Foundation of Canada's Gala and Dinner. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you, and I would like to say thank you on behalf of everyone for joining us tonight in support of the creation of the Five Rivers Gallery of Sikh Art and Culture. I would also like to give a heartwarming thanks to our sponsors, the BVD Group. I know everyone is eager to socialize and to check the Leaf score, so our first speaker for tonight will be Dr. Parvinder Kanuja. He is a renowned collector of Sikh art, and he is the proud and sole sponsor of the Sikh Gallery at the Phoenix Art Museum. As well, he is the earliest supporter of the Sikh Gallery of Art and Culture here at the ROM.
Thank you. Honorable Prime Minister, respected officials, members of the community, and supporters of the Sikh Gallery, I am honored to be amongst you all in this historic journey. Suresh Bhalla, who has been involved with Sikh art in Rome, is creating a legacy for the community by helping to create a Sikh gallery at one of the most prestigious museums in the world. He and all of you, with persistence and true love for our heritage, are at the cusp of history, and I congratulate you all for it. All of you have answered the phrase, "If not us, who will do the work?" So our future generations and the world will know our history and culture. I have been collecting Sikh-related artifacts for nearly 20 years. I present to you 3 of them, which was easier to carry, and hope to share our artifacts with the ROM in the future. Does somebody have the artifacts yet? Okay, so the first one is by an unknown artist from approximately 1830. It's a beautiful painting, heightened by gold and silver with Persian script, showing Maharaja Ranjit Singh with his elder son, Khadak Singh, and his Prime Minister, Dhyan Singh. As we all know, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, also called the Lion of Punjab, ruled from the border of Afghanistan to Kashmir to Satluj River and ran a secular kingdom in which there was representations of all religions and also included the French, Italian, American soldiers and administrators. As we go to the second painting, this is that of a younger Ranjit Singh, likely from 1800 to 1820. And this is again in his youth. The next painting, lastly, we have a locket called Navratna, meaning 9 precious stones belonging to Maharani Jindan, wife of Ranjit Singh and mother of the last Maharaja, Dalip Singh. Rani Jindan was endowed with great beauty and spirit. General Dalhousie, the Governor General, had this to say about her, and I quote, "Rely upon it, she is worth more than all the soldiers of the state put together." My best wishes to you all in this remarkable journey, and I'm privileged to be part of it. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Parvinder Kanuja, for your great presentation. Your words are true and wise, and thank you for being here with us tonight. Next, I would like to introduce the Member of Parliament of Mississauga Malton, MP Iqwinder Gaheer, who we are proud to note graduated from Harvard Law School before becoming one of the youngest MPs sitting in parliamentary today. He has also been a key member of the Sikh Gallery Organizing Committee.
Well, hello everybody, Prime Minister. My name is Iqwinder Gaheer, and I am the Member of Parliament for Mississauga Malton. I'd like to thank the organizers for putting this gala together. In particular, I'd like to thank Suresh Bala for spearheading the Sikh Gallery at the ROM. I've had the pleasure of working with this group for a couple years now, and I can truly say that it's been a long time coming. And here we are, at the ROM, space in Canada's largest museum to tell our story with our own voice. Suresh mentioned a few weeks ago that he wanted me to say a few words, and I've thought long and hard about what I wanted to say. And I stand here in this moment to thank the generation that came before. This is your victory. You didn't do it because you knew this would have been the outcome. You didn't do it because you thought we would come this far this fast. You realized that a better future was possible in Canada, and so you packed your bags and set sail from distant shores. You arrived without knowing the language, and you arrived without having much in your pockets. The enormity of the task that lay ahead didn't scare you, and your life became a constant work in progress. You fell in love with this country. But at the same time, you spoke up for what is right. You understood that if you mobilized your voices to challenge the powers that be and challenge yourselves to reach for something more that are better, more equitable tomorrow would be possible. This is why Sikhs serve with pride in the RCMP and armed services. This is why we can wear our kirbans in public spaces. This is why we have Sikhs in government raising their voices, because an earlier generation had decided to raise its voice. No one could have imagined that we would play this role in Canada, and we knew that our climb would be steep. The improbable journey of this community started over a century ago as the first settlers, the Sikh settlers, worked on timber mills or they picked berries. And those that followed made furniture and bedsets and worked in factories. They drove taxis and trucks, and in the mix were a few doctors and lawyers as well. This group had bent backs, they had weak knees, they had tired hands. But through it all, they never bent their values, their morals never weakened, and their resolve did not tire. This night belongs to that generation. As we now look towards the future, a chorus of cynics stands ready to tell us that more is not possible, that better is not possible. As we march forward, those voices will only grow louder. We must still march on and tell our story. And in doing so, when we tell our story, we pass on permission for others to tell theirs. This is the beauty of this country. We realize that although we come from different places, we all wish to head in the same direction, towards a better future. We realize that as Canadians, we are one people with a shared history and a common destiny. And I know as we find that better future, as we work towards that common destiny, we will do it together. Thank you very much. So I also have the immense privilege of welcoming Sikh Caucus to stage. If Sikh Caucus will make their way to the front. All of Sikh Caucus. So we have Ruby Sahota, the member for Brampton North, Sonia Sidhu, the member for Brampton South, the Honourable Bardish Shagar, the member for Waterloo. We have the Honourable Kamal Khera, Member of Parliament for Brampton West, and we have the Honourable Sardar Hardeep Singh Sajjan, Member of Parliament for Vancouver South. And now I'd like to welcome the Honourable Kamal Khera to say a few words.
Thank you, Iqwinder. Can we please give a big round of applause to this young man who I know has been leading this work alongside the foundation. Good evening, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Sat sri akal. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you here tonight. And you know, looking around this room, it's so wonderful to see so many accomplished Sikh Canadians in one room. First and foremost, allow me to acknowledge the Sikh Foundation of Canada, their entire team, the volunteers, not just for making tonight possible, for all that you do in keeping and preserving Sikh heritage at the forefront through arts, culture, and history. I would also like to acknowledge, of course, my colleagues and friends, the Liberal Sikh Caucus that are here with me. And as some of you may know, throughout the month of April, we celebrate Sikh Heritage Month from coast to coast to coast. But seeing all of you here tonight, this evening, and the By Five Rivers exhibition is a true testament to the fact that here in Canada, we celebrate Sikh heritage not just in April, but all year long. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention that this year, we marked 5 years of Sikh Heritage Month in Canada. It was first introduced in 2019 by our colleague Sukh Taliwal, making Canada the first and the only country in the world to dedicate April as Sikh Heritage Month. And just over 120 years ago, when the first Sikhs arrived to Canada, to now over 800,000 Sikhs calling Canada home, we are the largest Sikh diaspora in the world right here in Canada. And since then, Sikhs have become leaders in almost every aspect of the Canadian society. You talk about arts, you talk about culture, you talk about businesses, you talk about politics and entertainment. The Sikh community is everywhere. We have a growing list and in every corner of our great country. But as Iqwinder said, this has not always been easy. It has been a long road that was forged through the struggles and pain of our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors, who faced open hostility, violence, or even attempts to erase Sikh identity and culture. And we should never forget that. The history and contributions of our people are so many and touch every corner of our country, and it's really important that we're sharing these stories and achievements so that they're never forgotten. But we also know that takes time, and that takes a lot of work. That is why events and initiatives like these are so important, because it is a living representation of this work in action. The work that many of you in this room and all of those that came before us did every single day to ensure that Sikh stories are recognized as Canadian stories, that Sikh contributions are seen as Canadian contributions, and that Sikh accomplishments are known to be Canadian accomplishments, because we fundamentally know that Sikh stories and values are Canadian stories and values. Thank you, and with that, let me turn it over to my good friend and colleague, the Honourable Harjit Sajjan.
Thank you, Kamal. Before I begin, coming to this event is almost coming full circle for me. In 1999, when I was a young captain with no gray in my hair, no gray at all, and the Sikh Centennial Foundation, honored me with the award during that time. And there are many people given the award, And it made me realize what the success of our community, just seeing it and what can be accomplished with that success. And that's what I see today. And Sabi, I just want to acknowledge you. Thank you for your mentorship and all those years. I think we met more before I got into politics and before you were a senator, because we rarely had a chance to meet when we were in Ottawa. We were too busy with the work. But I want to again thank you to the mentorship. And speaking of young mentors, I have to acknowledge Nav, who's over there. Nav, thank you for you're younger. Your golf game is okay, but he's younger, but one of my mentors. And I got to share you a story about you, Nav. Sorry. Talk about Sikh heritage and Sikh culture. Prime Minister, you remember when we were at the White House, we had a private reception with President Obama before we had the dinner. So I'm talking with President Obama. He comes up to me. He actually remembered I had served with the U.S. military. And then he talking about how the Sikhs are warriors and our message. And here I'm this wonderful conversation about him. Nav comes in. Hey, basketball. I didn't even know what you said about basketball. And immediately President Obama just turns and starts talking like, Nav. I said, I'm out of here. So I went and talked to Michelle Obama instead, which was a better conversation. But that's Nav for you. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone who needs to be acknowledged has been acknowledged. And before I have the opportunity and privilege to introduce the Prime Minister, I just want to share some reflections with you because, like I said, this comes full circle for me. I had no idea where I was going to go back then, but you motivated me to be able to do more. And since we just celebrated Vaisakhi, and as Kamal and Iqwinder just talked about Sikh Heritage Month, we talk about Vaisakhi as the creation of the Khalsa. And that was a momentous time for Sikhs, for us when Guru Gobind Singh created the Khalsa. But we as Sikhs also know why he had to create the Khalsa, so that no Sikhs can stand out, no one can hide, right? To be able to push yourself to do more. But the message of the Khalsa and Guru Gobind Singh was always what Guru Nanak Dev Ji started back in 1469, the message of Iqwinder. And every guru has since passed on that message. So we talk about the martial race, and as much as I talk to President Obama being great warriors, but the true warrior was Guru Nanak Dev Ji when he sent that revolutionary message of Iqwinder, that we are all equal, that it doesn't matter what religion, you shouldn't be forced to have a religion, but if you do, respect your religion. Equality between all women. And imagine what that message that was sent. Yes, he traveled, and you know the history far better than I do. He preached that message at a time when equality was not even welcomed. And that message obviously hit the status quo pretty hard. And you also know how the history also went. Because of that message, the atrocities that were taking place against our people, because that message was liberating people, a message of equality for all, for everyone. And then why Guru Hargobind Ji? He had to create the concept of Miri Piri, the spiritual warrior, that you have a right not to also be spiritual, which is where we focused, but you have also a responsibility to fight for equality and for justice. And then fast forward to where Guru Gobind Singh Ji created the Khalsa. And when you look at when he created the Khalsa, when I was growing up, and it was not easy, obviously, because when you look different, you have, as Iqwinder had just talked about, the struggles. You have personally faced those struggles coming into a new country, right? You know what that meant. So why would Guru Gobind Singh give us this identity? And in a way, some people used to say, you're coming backwards. No, he was a visionary. He was a visionary because when he created this responsibility, you had to choose this identity. What it gave was, through those struggles, it built confidence. And through that confidence, you're able to succeed. So I remember in 1999 at that dinner, I don't know who it was, somebody said at that dinner, I remember to this day, Sikhs are a minority with a majority complex. That you have a responsibility when you succeed is to make sure that you do more for others. And that's what you're doing today. So all of you have contributed so much to making the By the Five Rivers exhibit come to life. You have taken your success, your wealth, and being able to now not just collect it for yourself, but you're sharing it not only with all Sikhs, you will be sharing it with all Canadians who come through here, who can learn about who we are. And I just want to say thank you for that opportunity. But that's one thing that taught me back from 1999 is when you succeed, make sure that you share. And you are demonstrating just that. And so thank you for this. And I also want to just take an opportunity to talk about when it comes to fighting against the status quo and how important it is to fight for equality. That fight is not over. And that's something that I've seen with our Prime Minister continuously, and one of the reasons why I was very passionate about getting into politics at that time, because I knew that I had a leader that's going to continue to fight for everybody's rights. Yes, we have the charter that was put into place that without it, I think we wouldn't have not only just our community, but many others, the success that we have today. But that fight is not over, and we see this continuously. And I remember when the Prime Minister decided that he was going to make the apology for the Komagata Maru in the House of Commons. Just imagine the vindication that has created with that one apology. I remember, I almost put tears to my eyes, but imagine all the people who were on the Komagata Maru at that time, who were at part of the British Empire at that time, forced to leave by the military that they had served in. What were they thinking at that time? And then 100 years later, would they think that 100 years later, the regiment that pushed them away, that a Sikh would be commanding that regiment? And I had that privilege in just an opportune time. But these opportunities takes leadership. So Prime Minister, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for your personal leadership to continue that fight of equality, because we still have to fight today, not just in Canada, but around that world. And we have that sense of responsibility. So thank you for this. And it is my great pleasure to introduce a good friend of all of ours, somebody who's always been a great champion, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir, tout le monde. Sat Sri Akal. It is so great to be back here at the Royal Ontario Museum. Thank you, Harj, Kamal, and Iqwinder for those remarks. Ruby, Bardish, Sonia, thank you very much for all the work you've done as part of our caucus. I need to begin, somewhat awkwardly perhaps, but importantly, to acknowledge the arrests that were made in relation to the murder of Mr. Nijjar. As the RCMP stated, the investigation remains ongoing, as does a separate and distinct investigation not limited to the involvement of the 3 people arrested yesterday. Hier, il y a eu des arrestations reliées au meurtre de M. Nijjar. Comme la GRC l'a dit, l'enquête suit son cours, tout comme une autre enquête distincte qui ne se limitera pas à l'implication des 3 personnes arrêtées hier. This is important because Canada is a rule of law country with a strong and independent justice system, as well as a fundamental commitment to protecting all its citizens. I know that many Canadians, particularly members of the Sikh community, are feeling uneasy and perhaps even frightened right now. Well, every Canadian has the fundamental right to live safely and free from discrimination and threats of violence in Canada. Let us not allow events to change us. Let us remain calm. Let us remain steadfast in our commitment to our democratic principles and our system of justice. This is who we are and what we do as Canadians. But it is really, really great for me to be here with you all tonight for this momentous occasion. Around this room are a remarkable group of community leaders, innovators, and artists from across the country. Suresh, Pravinder, all the different leaders here tonight who've made this evening possible. Thank you for your vision. Le mois dernier, on a célébré le Vaisakhi et le mois du patrimoine sikh. Et je tiens à dire que la générosité et l'ouverture d'esprit dont fait preuve la communauté sont vraiment incroyables. Je suis très heureux d'être ici. As my friends underscored, Sikh Canadians have been an important part of our community and our country for generations. In the early 20th century, the first Sikhs arrived in British Columbia from Punjab. Thousands of Sikh Canadians have brought Canada and the Sikh community closer ever since. Their stories are in communities across the country. The one that's on my mind tonight is Bukam Singh. Bukam Singh came to Canada in 1907, and during the First World War, he became the first Sikh Canadian to enlist with the Canadian Army. Now, at the time, Sikhs couldn't vote, hold public office, practice law, or pharmacy. And although Sikh soldiers were being turned away by the army, Bukam Singh was so committed to serving his new country, he applied time after time. And because of his perseverance, he got to serve. He fought for Canada at the Battle of Flanders, side by side with his fellow Canadians. He was wounded twice in battle, and at just 25 years old, he passed away while recovering from his wounds. Decades after his passing, Private Bukam Singh's story still represents the courage, valor, and service of Sikh Canadians today. If Bukam Singh were alive today, he'd see the barriers he broke and the progress that generations of Sikh Canadians have made ever since. He'd see gurdwaras built right across the country. He'd see Sikh Canadian lawyers and business owners, innovators and artists, armed forces members and cabinet ministers, sometimes both at the same time. He'd see TV stations, monuments, and museums dedicated to Sikhs. And he'd see the Sikh Canadian community, nearly 800,000 strong, living open and proud Sikh lives. The story of the Sikh community is, in fact, the story of Canada. And last month, when we released Budget 2024, with investments to help protect Sikh Canadian Sikh heritage and help Canadian Sikhs succeed, we announced, which is why we're all here tonight, why you had to put up with all of us on stage, we announced that we're supporting a space right here at the Royal Ontario Museum dedicated to Sikh arts, culture, and heritage with an investment of $6 million. We will be working closely with the Sikh Arts and Culture Foundation to make this space exactly what we all desire it to be. The Sikh Gallery at the ROM will be the second such gallery after the first permanent Sikh art gallery was established in 2022 in Montreal by my friends Roshi and Baljeet Singh Chadha and the Kapani family. Good to see Roshi and Baljeet here tonight. And in the coming years, we expect to see even more across the country. We're also giving funding to the Indus Media Foundation to complete their short film highlighting the shared military heritage of Canadian and Indian soldiers in the First and Second World Wars. By preserving this heritage and encouraging others to learn more, we're keeping Sikh Canadian stories alive for the next generation and make sure everyone understands that the history of Sikh Canadians is the history of Canada. Alongside this, in Budget 2024, we're also building more homes faster, hiring more doctors and nurses, and making dental care and diabetes medication more affordable. We're cracking down on auto theft and investing billions of dollars into innovation, AI, and manufacturing to grow our economy and secure good-paying jobs. These are things we do because we believe in investing in the future. We believe, like this community does, in the importance of seeing far and working every day to rectify imbalances and ensure fairness for everyone. Those are the values at the heart of what it is to be a Canadian. Those are the values at the heart of what it is to be a Sikh. So that is what we are celebrating tonight as we come together. And that is why we will always stand with you as a community that embodies Canadian values. Because Sikh Canadians have helped build the Canada we know and love today, and every day you make Canada even better. So thank you for having me with you tonight. Let us keep working together to make Canada more inclusive, more vibrant, and especially more welcoming for everyone. Merci beaucoup, mes chers amis.
Thank you to the esteemed members of Parliament and Right Honourable Prime Minister Trudeau for your support and funding and kind words. As you can tell, I am giving you guys a break from me and from speeches, so please enjoy your dinner and I will see you soon. Maybe check the Leafs score.